Hey there, my name is Jimmy. Thank you so much for joining me today for an impromptu video that I'm making in response to a question I got from a good friend, Lucy, on the internet. Now, I'm here with my X-T2, and the question she sent in was, if your aperture is set to A, automatic, and your shutter speed is also set to A, automatic, then essentially you're in automatic shooting mode, yes? And your exposure compensation dial is set to C, what is this mode right here? And the quick answer here is, I don't know. So if I'm not answering the question properly, please ask the question again, but I might try to over-explain it now so that I can at least get something across here. I don't know your skill level or anyone's skill level out there for that matter, so I might be over-explaining things, so please forgive me. I don't know what it's called when this is on A, and this is on A, and this is on C. I think I know what you mean when one is off A, right? And you got a fixed value here on aperture. Now you're on aperture priority. Or if you're on some sort of shutter speed time value set to that, then you're on shutter priority. I think that's what you mean. But now both of them are on automatic and the exposure compensation dial is set to C. I don't think this is any particular type of setting, but you can use C, which stands for custom. Let's go over something really quickly here before we move on. I'm going to set my exposure compensation dial to 0. I'm going to set the aperture to A, and I'm going to set the shutter to A. So I'm in fully automatic mode now. When I point it at a scene or an object, the light is coming in to the sensor and the camera is going, okay, we're in fully automatic mode. Everything's up to me. I like my light and settings to be right around 0. I like just the right amount of light. Everything should be even Steven, right? You start to take the picture, you take that shot, the camera spits out an image and goes, take it or leave it. What do you think? Too bright, too dark? It should be perfect. And usually it's pretty good. But sometimes it's just too dark, depending on how many shadows or how bright the light is. The little streak of light can throw everything off in the algorithm in your camera, right? So you're saying, camera, I thought it was automatic. It's not really that great. It's way off. It's too dark. Well, the camera goes, I did the best I could. Why don't you calm down and leave me alone then? Well, you can just take the exposure compensation dial and jack this up a little bit. I'm at +1 stop here. That's quite a bit brighter. And you can override that automatic type of exposure that the camera is spitting out. So yes, the camera is always going to take the algorithmic mathematics into account and say, this is the right exposure. And it may be for the camera, but it's your job to look at the image and go, artistically, tastefully, it's not what I want. I want it brighter. I don't care what the camera says. Well, that's when you override it using the exposure compensation knob. Yes, it's automatic, but this allows you to step into the equation and just throw it into your favor anytime you want. Say it's too bright. The camera just went crazy and said, it's too bright. That's the way I like it. You come to exposure compensation dial, drop it below 0 a few stops down, and now it should be darker. Let me see if I can do this. See, it's on fully automatic, and yet I'm able to use the exposure compensation dial and completely mess with it depending on how I want it to look. Okay, I will now set this to C. Watch what happens. I'm going to do it this way. Take my word for it. I'm going to C. Whoa, it just suddenly got very bright. But look on the side there. Do you guys see? It now goes to +5 and -5 below 0. That's different than the 3 stops we usually get. So the custom allows you to do that. Press the front command dial here, press it in like that, and then rotate it. Sorry. Pretty cool, huh? So now I'm adjusting it with my thumb or my forefinger right here. So it's still an exposure compensation dial. You just have more range. But be careful, because if you go too high, it's unusably high. If it goes too bright and the picture's too hot and the highlights are blown out, you can't recover those in your camera especially, and you can't go into your computer as easily and bring things down to recover the clouds, for example, or some sort of detail that you want. So what I'm trying to say is, keep your exposure within normal reach. If it really is too dark, bring it up a little bit. If you don't like to edit on your computer, you can do that here in your camera. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like to shoot in JPEG on your camera, that is an art form and all on its own. A lot of people pride themselves on being able to shoot RAW and take terrible pictures and adjust it too much in your computer. I'm not really a fan of that. I think if you're a decent photographer, you should be able to shoot great pictures in JPEG right off the bat and have some processing done in your camera, and you adjusting the exposure compensation dial, you shooting in manual mode and adjusting and painting the picture the way you think it should be done on the spot, so to speak. There is no right or wrong way. I'm just saying that just be careful. Don't go too high, don't go too low, but you can always adjust it later on the computer as well. I hope this helps you guys. Let me just reiterate, having it on C is not really a particular mode, but the exposure compensation dial is a particular automatic function. The camera has a lot of manual modes, right? And then what makes Fuji great and other cameras great is the automatic modes they've grouped together to make it easier and more customizable for us to use as photographers. So it's just another way to make it brighter or darker when you're shooting in automatic mode. The exposure compensation dial does not work in manual shooting. I hope this helps you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this impromptu video. Everything was shot and recorded with my voice on my phone. Bye-bye.